Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Arcana. I'm your host, Doug Leaf. Each episode of this podcast, we'll look back on the movies, TV, games, people, and phenomena that we still love talking about all these years later, and ask ourselves why these bits of pop culture still enchant us today. This week, we'll be revisiting...
Released as a launch title for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Mario World went on to become the single best-selling game of the entire 16-bit console generation. The game remains an absolute classic over 30 years later, and continues to be the model by which many video games are set. Or the standard against which they're judged, I should say, because Super Mario World is a very, very special game for reasons we're going to dig into today, and I'm not going to be doing it alone. I've got two extra players on this journey with me. I've got a Luigi and a Yoshi with me. So first, he has been on the podcast many, many times before, and including many recent video games, including Ninja Gaiden and Punch-Out, and critically for this, Super Mario Bros. 3. Please welcome back to the show, comedian Rich Baker.
Always happy to be here, Doug. Very excited to talk about this game.
Yeah, I think this one was your idea as well. But before we get underway, of course, our other guest, they have been on the podcast many times as well, including, among other things, talking about Super Mario 64, which is, of course, an important game because it came right after this one. And let's see, they are the host of the Reignite podcast as well as the Fun and Games podcast. Welcome back, Matt Storm, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Hey, howdy. Happy to be back talking about a video game. I've been doing that a lot lately on this pod, but I'm always happy to do it.
Yeah, well, in fact, before we even get too far down the road, Matt, you should tell the folks about your two podcasts since they're both video game related.
Sure, happy to. I'll keep it brief since anyone who's listened to this podcast, A, I've been here a lot. Thank you for that, Doug. And B, I never shut up about my podcast. But yeah, so Fun and Games is a broad topic discussion-based podcast along with the incredible Jeff Moonen. I host that show, and we talk to different game devs, interview them about their games, talk to composers, talk about different topics within gaming, like is grinding good in video games? What's the best way to signpost in open world games? Are open world games anxiety-inducing? Yes. All sorts of topics just like that. We've also gone to conventions, interviewed devs on the show floor, all sorts of fun stuff. And then within that feed as well, we do a short form series called Side Quests, where Doug has appeared many times at this point, more times than I can count on at least one hand. And the gist of that show is to talk about a game you love and why you love it. It's a monologue. It's very open and free of critique. It's just designed to let us celebrate the games we love because, as we like to say on Fun and Games, every game is somebody's favorite. Good, bad, and different doesn't matter. Everybody loves video games. And then briefly, my other show, Reignite, is a play-along podcast. Started as a Mass Effect retrospective podcast where the twist was me and my co-host, Frankie Bradley Lestrange, created Shepard as if we were Commander Shepard and made our choices as such, and then discussed why we made those choices, and more importantly, why we romanced the aliens we romanced. We have now moved on from Mass Effect to now tackle the Dragon Age series. We are currently in the midst of Dragon Age 2, diving deep into why Templars are bad, ATAB, and why mages are good. So that if you are into storytelling and decision making and discussing those choices we make, it's a great pod to check out as well.
Awesome. And I'm happy to recommend all of those shows as ones you should go listen to as soon as you're done listening to this. Now, so let me circle back then to you, Rich, because I think you were the one who wanted to talk about Super Mario World. This was your baby. So let's start the way we always do. Tell me your nostalgic memories of this game.
Big fan of all the Mario games. We talked about Super Mario 3, and that was great. But when the Super Nintendo came out, it was the most anticipated launch of anything of my entire life. Maybe still to this day. I mean, I was such a Nintendo fan, but when Super Nintendo was coming out, I was like, I gotta get this. It's gonna be the best thing ever. And unlike the Nintendo, I managed to get the Super Nintendo. My parents got it for me like pretty much right after it came out, which came out with Super Mario World. And there's so many games I've loved on the Super Nintendo, and we've talked about many of them already, but I've probably logged more hours playing this game than just about any other game ever I've played. And I still replay it to this day. I've replayed it almost every year since it came out. Like, I played it a lot as a kid. There's something about this game that just has an infinite, like, I just never get tired of it. I can, even though I know every nook and cranny of it, I can still have fun and kind of de-stress playing my way through it. And I don't know that I will ever not enjoy playing this game.
Matt, how about you? I know you might be different because you were a Sega kid at first.
So
right?
I that's a very good memory. So yeah, so I owned both consoles, but I got a Genesis first. I got Genesis around when Sonic 2 came out. Was a Sonic fanboy, loved it. Owned an NES though before that, and loved Super Mario Brothers, the whole run of Super Mario Brothers games, especially 3. But I came to the Super Nintendo pretty late. I got the Square SNES, which came out, I think, right before Donkey Kong Country came out, if I'm remembering correctly. And so, like, I came very late to Super Mario World and Super Metroid and Chrono Trigger, even, which is my favorite game of all time. But that said, the SNES was still very, formative to my development as a video game fan. I've cited Chrono Trigger many times, and even on this podcast when we did an episode about it, how that game made me realize, oh, you can tell stories in these games, like real in-depth emotional stories. And I would go on to pursue games like that because of that game. But also, Super Mario World I was really excited for because I loved Super Mario Brothers 3. I'm pretty sure I got Super Mario Brothers 3 around when it first came out, and like, just every screenshot, video, magazine, like anything I saw of this game, I was like, oh, this is just that, but better. It's the next level. And so I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. I ended up getting a copy of, although I don't have it anymore, unfortunately, of the Mario All-Stars pack that included Super Mario World, which came out during that era of the SNES, which was a great collection. I think to this day is probably the best Mario collection they've ever made. They have tried to capture that magic since and have failed. We talked about the 3D All-Stars pack, which was okay at best as far as ports go. But yeah, this game was huge to me and I loved it. To this day, I think it's for sure my favorite 2D Mario game, but I still think it's probably the best 2D Mario game. I replayed it last year because for every 50 episodes of SideQuest, we do a milestone episode where Jeff and I will be joined by a guest to discuss a game in the same format, but it's a little bit longer form. And for episode 350, we did Super Mario World with the incredible Brian Shea, host of All Things Nintendo and awesome writer over at Game Informer. And I revisited this game and I was like, oh, I'll just play a few levels. I know this game. I don't need to replay it. And then played through all of it in like 2 sittings. Like it's one of the most streamlined Mario games I think ever made. And that return to it, because I've returned to older games and been frustrated like all of us. They were just designed differently. There's something about Super Mario World that just kind of feels perfect, even revisiting it today.
Yeah, you said it's streamlined. I think it's mainlined. Like when you sit down to play it, it's everything about the Mario franchise that gives you a dopamine hit. Like somehow it's all of that at once in every level. Like there's such a like polish and just power to this. There's a reason everything gets compared to it. It probably is. I mean, you can make a very good case this is the best 2D platformer ever made. And I just, to my memories of it, like I was a Nintendo kid, like I had the Nintendo, but like you mentioned, Rich, the SNES launch, that was really the first like console launch as an anticipated event, right? Because I had the Atari growing up, which was like a novelty, it was interesting. And then the Nintendo came along before Nintendo was Nintendo. They became Nintendo through their dominance in that first console. And so like this was the first time that they were going to unveil something really new. I mean, they had the Game Boy, but this is the first time they were going to unveil something really brand new. And like by this point, Mario was an institution after those first 3 games. So everyone was waiting, like, what's this first new? It's the new console and the new Mario. They're giving it to you together at the same time. And I didn't get it like the day it came out. I got it pretty early after it came out though. And my friend Miles, growing up, I remember he got it first. And so my first impression was going over to his house, him plugging the thing in, turning it on, and like it's hard to. One of the sad things about like now that we're in like the PlayStation 5 Pro era is that graphical leaps forward look less and less impressive than, it's like it looks good, but like going from the 8-bit NES to the 16-bit SNES was a little like the Wizard of Oz going from black and white to color. It was this like, wow, look how amazing this looks. It looks like a bright, shiny cartoon, and the musical palette is now like much closer to actual instruments than, saw waves and bleeps and bloops. And I was just like, I have to get my hands on this as soon as I can. And once I did, I was immediately in love with it. And like you said, I sat down to replay it for this episode, and I'm like, well, I don't need to like do everything because I've done it a bunch of. I'm like, nope, I got all 96 exits. Like I did every level, like I did the entire thing 100% because I couldn't not do it.
Oh yeah, it's funny. It's funny the two of you talk about how the SNES is seminal. Like it was the first game console launch you remember, and it reminds me that Doug, you and I are just on the other sides of generations, right? We're close in age, but when we did Mario 64, I talked about how that was the first console I remember. Like I told my bar mitzvah story, I remember how that was the first console I tracked in magazines and couldn't wait to come out. It's just funny that just off a generation, but still same impact, right? And still Mario, right? Like, and the reason Mario 64 will always age better than a lot of other polygonal games is because of like it had a vibe, it had a style, it had an artistry. And that's, I think, something important to the SNES and Super Mario World too. Like that game still looks gorgeous now. Like playing it, and like it's on newer hardware. I replayed it on the NSO on Switch, but they're not really doing much to enhance it there. Like it's a brighter screen, but that's about it. And what I love about pixel art games, and I think this game in particular, is I don't think this will ever be out of style. It's one of the most gorgeously designed games, but also like your comment about black and white to color, like the evolution of just Mario's sprite from 1 to 2 to 3 to world, it's just huge leaps. It doesn't seem like it now to maybe kids who are used to 3D graphics and The Last of Us and all that stuff, which is also really great. But back then it was like, oh my God, you can see Mario's mustache and he has facial expressions and he reacts. Like all of that stuff, it felt like wizardry at the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it wasn't quite the same. But I remember when James Cameron's Avatar came out and people kept going to the theater to see because the visuals. Yeah. Is like, this game it's like the visuals. Like, even if you don't play, just watch someone play it. It's just such a beautiful palette.
Well, there's something about pixels will always age better than polygons for that reason. Yes. And like,
sure.
Rich, we were talking about Ninja Gaiden on the last video game episode we did, and we were doing that because by the time you've heard this, they released Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is a throwback done by the Game Kitchen, same people that did Blasphemous, and they did it in a 16-bit pixel art style. There have been games that do the throwback to the early days of polygons in the latter half of the 90s. So, like I played Crow Country this year, which mimics the original PlayStation art style, and it's cool. Like there's a joy to like what a throwback it is, but it doesn't look quote unquote good. It's like you're mimicking this like, very blocky, awkward looking stuff. Whereas I think the pixels still look bright, crisp, clear. There's something joyful about those that doesn't go out of style, as you said, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I think realism in polygons doesn't age well. I think of GoldenEye, we're not talking about the N64, hasn't aged well. But if you look at stuff like Mario or the early Sonic Adventure games, like they are rough around the edges, but because they have an art style and an aesthetic and they're not rooted in realism, quote unquote realism, they have aged better. But totally agree. Stuff like, the polygonal games that were supposed to be realistic definitely have aged poorly since then.
Yeah, very much so. But so yeah, the visuals of this game, they do a great job of selling it. They pop really well. I think the music by Koji Kondo here is really good, and it's interesting for reasons we'll talk about in a little bit. But none of it works if the gameplay doesn't work, and the gameplay here is so tight. They really took like what were some of the like key innovations for Super Mario 3 and just like iterated on it. So like we talked about this, Rich, when we did that episode, which is that like Super Mario World doesn't invent anything really. Like it doesn't. Super Mario 3 did kind of all the heavy lifting here, but this is like, I think, a perfected version of what they were on to there, like with the map, the banking and item stuff, and like they scale back too. There's not nearly as many, like Super Mario 3 is like, here, look at all these amazing different power-ups we have, and here there's like maybe 3 different power-ups, and then they kind of like graft Yoshi onto that, and that's the other big development, is adding him to the mix.
Oh yeah, who became, as important a staple in the Super Mario lore as anyone, and this was his first introduction.
Sort of. I think you can find like there was some like game released in Japan.
Cookie. Yoshi Cookie came out first. It was a puzzle game featuring Yoshi, but it's close. Like I think if it came out first, it might not have come out first in the States, but if it came out first, it was like the same year, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Yoshi Cookie, either right around that time. And yeah, it's a fun fact that like he debuted in a different title, but like his popularity, his rise to being an important and integral Mario character is absolutely because of Super Mario World.
Oh yeah, no question. And it was interesting researching this, seeing that like the idea for this had been around for a while. Like Shigeru Miyamoto had these like drawings of like Mario on a horse. Like he liked this idea of Mario riding something, which became like Mario riding this very like reptilian looking version of him. And then they said, no, that doesn't work. But if we queued him up a bunch, this will work. And like they succeeded beyond their wildest dreams here, because Yoshi is so fun, and like he really changes up the gameplay, because the way it normally works with Mario is, right, you've got one power-up makes you big, one power-up gives you a specialty set of moves, and if you get hit, you kind of drop back down those tiers, right? But with Yoshi, you can get hit, and as long as you get back on him, you can keep going. Like you won't lose your abilities and stuff. That really changes up a lot of the dynamic.
Oh, yeah, and there's certain enemies that you can't do anything with, like fireballs won't touch, but Yoshi can eat them, and then there's those clam-type things that you can't walk on, but Yoshi can walk on them. So he gives you a number of abilities that, Mario doesn't have on his own.
He also gives you an additional jump, which has been memed to death, but the inevitable sacrificing Yoshi to jump off him to make a long jump off a cliff. But Mario already jumped high and far, and this just extended it, and it allowed for, like you mentioned earlier, finding all the exits in this game. Like finding those secrets, or like Yoshi is basically a requirement, not even an option. And yeah, I think the gameplay in this game, it refined what Mario would be for, I'd say, the next 20 years, because like even things that came later, New Super Mario Brothers, and even Mario Wonder now, like a lot of that like inherent control is based on this game. It's all an evolution, but I agree. Like when I go back to old platformers to play them, there are hiccups, there are struggles. Like I love Kirby's Adventure on the NES, definitely doesn't play as tight as the later titles. And there are, cheap jumps and things that you miss, whatever. Never felt that in Mario World, which is surprising, because a lot of older games, there are those moments. We talked about in an episode that I think Timey-Wimey hasn't aired yet, but we recorded already, about Super Metroid, where the Super Metroid episode did air.
It's out, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember when I record too many podcasts. Anyway, but in that episode, I mentioned that the controls in that game feel a tiny bit stiff, right? Especially playing the later versions of Metroid. Whereas this, I couldn't, like, this I think controls better than even the later Mario games, as the sense that it's just so tightly tuned in a way that I just don't encounter with all retro games, and is really impressive when you go back to it. Because there's always, with these old games, I know you and I have talked about this, Doug, it's how it played, and then it's how you remember it played, right? Like Shredder's Revenge plays how we remember Turtles in Time playing. But Turtles in Time is a lot more stiff, less options, whatever. Super Mario World plays as I remember, and is still as tight and as engaging as it was that first day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I picked it up to play it this time, it was like it feels perfect in the hands. Like it still does. And I think that's the magic of really understanding the physics of how Mario moves versus the world they design for him. Like they've made a world that is perfect for a character that moves like this. And because those things are in perfect synergy, like it always feels good to pilot Mario and Yoshi around these different levels, because most of them are not like terribly challenging in terms of a platforming challenge. Like this is breezy, and that makes it great. Like this game has been now modded to death. And also, like with the advent of Super Mario Maker, people can make their own Mario World levels. And like, I get these things because I'm a video game nerd. They show up in like my Facebook feed and stuff, or on YouTube. And it's like, yeah, this would require, me practicing this thing for an entire year to be able to pull off this level that somebody made, because it's just nothing but spikes and drops and like perfectly timed jumps and stuff. But you can design that level for this character in this particular version of Mario. It works because those controls are tight enough that you can make a Meso Core level for him and send him through it.
Oh yeah, I love watching those. Like we made the hardest Mario level, and in their pixel perfect and timing and everything. Yeah, and it never occurred to me before, but you don't see those for like Mario 3 or the original as much. It's this one that inspired all that.
A big part of that, I think, is that spin jump too that Mario has. This is a new tool in his kit, because we're now going from 2 buttons on the NES to the classic. What is now like basically all video game controllers are using this, the 4 buttons of X, Y, and A, B in that diamond shape. That A button spin. So if you hit it on the ground, Mario will do a smaller than average jump and he will spin. And if he's wearing his cape, one of the signature power-ups here that gives him the power of flight, you can whack things that are next to you by spinning like he could with the raccoon tail. But if you jump and spin with this thing, you can bounce off of stuff that would otherwise hurt you, or potentially be like a buzzsaw. For some reason, if you're spinning, the buzzsaw will not hurt you. Do not try that at home. But like you can reach things you couldn't reach before. You can dodge that. You can use that as a way to get past obstacles, and it really opens up a lot of like different kinds of moves and ways of moving for him.
Yeah, there's a diversity of movement that, I mean, like you're saying, like the reason we have Massive Core platformers are basically because of this early era of 2D platformers that have then gone to evolve into things like Super Meat Boy and the like, where all it is avoiding danger, right? And pixel perfect jumps. But that control, again, and this new toolkit is what makes Mario so versatile. And like that combined with Yoshi and being able to jump higher, spin off of Yoshi. Also, like when you get the fire flower, you'll shoot fireballs in every direction as you spin. Yeah. Like all of the little nuance to this move set allows Mario to do different things. Also, there's a lot of puzzle solving using blocks that you can pick up and run around with. You can also throw not just forward, but up and down if you're in the air to like really diversify how you solve little puzzles in the world. It's not a puzzly game, but like to find those secret exits, find a key, find a keyhole, you need to think a little outside the box using this new toolkit to find those areas.
Yeah, and he can spin jump as when he's little, but it doesn't do if there's certain yellow bricks that like a key's hidden under. You have to be big. You have to do the spin jump in order. That's the only way to break them. And so it's like every move, like some of them are just cool, but like they're all necessary to beat the game.
Yeah, with all you mentioned the secret exits thing, that's a key to this, is that like as you go through the world map, just like in Super Mario 3, you're going from node to node on this map. Those are levels, but any node that is red instead of yellow means that there is at least 2 different exits to the level. The standard one you get from running all the way from left to right. And then usually there's a key and a keyhole somewhere in the vicinity, and you got to get those two things together, and that will open up a different pathway to somewhere else in the game. And that feeling, like, again, as you said, Matt, these aren't for the most part aren't like totally baffling, but they feel really rewarding when you figure out, like, oh, okay, I need to get over to this area with Yoshi so that he can use his tongue to reach a key that's behind a bunch of unbreakable blocks that he can get to. Then I can take that key with Yoshi over to where the keyhole is, right?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. And that's everywhere. And that is aided, of course, by the upgraded version of Flight here, which is... They've never done this better. Like, I like the raccoon suit in Mario 3 is fine, but this is really special because it's makes you think about physics.
Oh, the cape? Yeah, the cape takes a while to figure out, and when you get really good at it, there's plenty of levels that if you just want to fly through, you can literally just fly through the whole thing and avoid the whole levels. And then there's, like, you can drop down with the cape and do, like, a massive, like, stomp and do a bunch of enemies. Like, the cape's way better than the raccoon as far as the flight. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a move that was, again, I don't think we get the cape without the raccoon tail. It's definitely an evolution. But while the raccoon tail, for those who haven't played Mario 3, and if you haven't, shame on you, if you haven't played Mario 3, it's button mashy. Like, you get max speed, you start to fly, and then you tap the button to stay aloft. Whereas this, it's more about physics. You can't button mash to fly in this. You either want to, like, pull back so you glide and hover and bounce, or you can, like Rich said, just crash to the ground to do, like, a stun or kill enemies. It really is versatile in a way that, like, as a kid, I struggled with. I was not super great with the cape, but as an adult going back to the game, I was like, oh, this is actually really intuitive and pretty simple if you're patient with it. And I understand why they went to less power-ups in this game. I think a new console, easier to introduce new players to a simpler kit, but also you make the cape do a lot of the things that other stuff would be useful for, and kind of really streamline exactly how Mario plays, or Luigi, if you prefer the younger brother like I do, and, like, really update their toolkit in a way that's really easy to understand and then challenging to master, which has been the case, I think, through most of the Mario games, but is really on display here.
Yeah, the physics of it are great. Like, you again, just like with the raccoon tail, you pick up enough speed, you hold down the jump button, and you go up into the air. But by holding it, you can glide down just like you could with the raccoon tail. But you can also do this move where you dive and then you pull back on the stick basically, and you go back up. And by kind of, if you keep your momentum in check, you can continue just kind of moving in this little, like, up and down sine wave all the way across the level. And again, necessary to reach otherwise unreachable platforms and find secrets and stuff. This would be duplicated in 3D in Batman Arkham City, where they have you do this as Batman to maintain air. But it's a simple system. And as you said, like, it kind of makes the Fire Flower into, like, what was once, like, the marquee power up to have, into, like, a special use case. Like, you kind of want to not have it. Generally, you prefer the cape because it's much more versatile and useful. And then you're also pairing that with Yoshi, who not only does he have his normal, like, jumping and things that he can do, but they add in this color-coded system where if you swallow a yellow, red, or blue shell, you have different effects. So yellow makes you stomp hard on the ground, red allows you to spit out 3 fireballs, and blue allows you to fly as well. And later on in the game, you can get a Yoshi who is himself that color. And if he swallows any shell, he now has the power, regardless of the color of the shell. So if you can find your way to that blue Yoshi, you want to hold on to him as long as you can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Blue Yoshi basically controls, like, the raccoon tail. You mash the button to fly higher. And these power-ups are limited. Yoshi will eventually swallow whatever's in his mouth, shells or otherwise. And so with the shells, you can use, if you don't expire it by using the power-up, he will eventually swallow the shell, and then it will also end the power-up. And yeah, the diversity of Yoshis, which also, I forget, debuted in this game, is now ubiquitous with the world of Yoshi, and that the green Yoshi is like the OG Yoshi, and then there's this whole island or town, depending on the game, of Yoshis that are different colors, different personalities, and that in this game have the different power-ups. And you can get baby Yoshis that you need to feed to make them grow up to then have that power. It really is dynamic in a way that, like, at a glance you could miss, but if you really inspect, like they added a lot to this. It's just not the traditional getting the power from a block. It's you find those powers other ways in the world.
Yeah. And what's really cool about this game is that you can go back and play any level other than the fortresses or the castles at any point. So if you were like, hey, I want to get the blue Yoshi and then go back and just, fly around any of the earlier levels where we wouldn't normally have them, you can do that at any point in the game. It's very open world.
Yeah, and in fact, there's a level you can open. It's not even a level. In the second world, if you take a secret exit out of the ghost house, it's just one screen, and you can get a Yoshi and 2 fire flowers or 2 capes, and you can just keep getting 1-ups there by if you have a Yoshi and you find another Yoshi, instead of getting a Yoshi, you get a 1-up. So basically, once you find this thing, it's like, yeah, do whatever you want in any level. We'll give you a Yoshi and whatever power-ups you like and as many lives as you need. So like it's a really friendly game in that way, where it's saying like, yeah, have fun. Like this again, like there will be some challenging things, but so what? You can die and just go back to the store there and just get whatever you need and try again.
And if you somehow manage to use all your lives, which is like, this game makes it really hard for you to lose all your lives. But if you do, all your continue does is take you back to the last fortress that you beat. So that's not even that big a deal.
You lose no progress. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might as well have infinite lives.
Yeah, the other mechanical change that's interesting is in Mario 3, you had a library of items. Like as you would get them, you would collect them and can use them whenever you wanted before you went into a stage. Whereas in this, you don't have that. Instead, you can hold another item. Essentially, whatever item you get knocks the old one into your storage. And when you get hit, that item drops from the sky and you can get that as a backup. And that basically persisted after this game. They never went back to the inventory system of the third game. This was throughout most of the other 2D Mario games, this way to back up an ability, which I think is really useful and honestly more useful than the world map stuff. While having an inventory was great, you don't know what you need until you go into the stage. You could lose something, whereas this, you get what you get in the stage, and then you can take that with you in case you need it later.
Yeah, I mean, I just I did a podcast, not on this show. I was a guest on another show recently talking about Super Mario Wonder, the most recent 2D Mario game, and they use exactly this system.
Yeah,
it is pretty much as close as they could get to recreating Super Mario World in a way. Like it's it's not that they don't borrow from other Mario things in that game, but 90% of it is borrowing from this. And you could do a lot worse than trying to copy this thing. There's also a sequel to this, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, which is radically different in terms of gameplay, but really cool and different. I was just going to ask Rich, did you have any experience with Yoshi's Island?
I played it a little bit, but it never had, 1/10 the appeal of this game to me. So, I mean, I don't even think I beat it all the way through. And if I recall correctly, the graphics, like they're interesting, but they almost feel a little more like Susian or like kids kind of graphics. And so that just didn't quite appeal to me as much.
Matt, any thoughts on Yoshi's Island?
Love this game. Big fan of it. It's different, though. It's not a sequel in the sense that it's not a direct... Like, it's not a sequel in the same way this is to Super Mario Brothers 3 because it changes a lot. But yeah, it's got its own unique art style. It's the start of like Yoshi's focused games feeling more kid-friendly and kind of childlike. But this is a prequel where Mario's a baby and Yoshi rescues him. And you're being chased by not baby Bowser, but a baby version of Bowser, right? You're not Bowser Jr., rather, your baby Bowser is the villain. It's Bowser in his infancy. And like, it's a really compelling and fun game. I definitely beat it then. I haven't replayed it in a while, but like it has one of the more terrifying boss fights at the end for a game like this. Like this game though is the start of Mario World. Bowser feeling imposing, not just like a final boss, but like he's comical in the more recent games. But like the final, like there's haunting music at the final boss battle with Bowser in this game, and they did the same thing in Super Mario World 2. I really love it. I wish it wasn't marketed as a sequel to this game, because I think that's where it lost a lot of people. If it was just like Yoshi's Story before Yoshi's Story came on the N64, it would have been like people might have been more open going into it, right? Because they know it's a different experience. But I really enjoy the game a lot. I think it's overlooked often as a tight Mario game because it's just so different, and technically the first Yoshi-focused game, since you're mostly playing as Yoshi.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy it. It is worth checking out if you haven't. It's, again, talk about some like art style stuff that's aged very well. It looks like, it's got this like Van Gogh-esque style that's really impressive. They were able to get the SNES to do it. It looks cool. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we kind of launch into kind of going through the game kind of world by world is the music by Koji Kondo here, because he took a really different approach. I would say, like 85% of the tracks in this game are fundamentally the same melody or same leitmotif. This dum dum da 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 dum ba dum bum 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 bum. That theme, it's just reinterpolated versions of that in different styles with different instruments, different tempos and things like. It's really interesting that he decided to do it this way. And there are unique melodies other than that, but overwhelmingly, that's what you hear level to level.
I mean, this soundtrack brought into existence, to this day, I will say with my whole chest, the best Mario song ever written, which is the Athletic theme. The Athletic theme is like one of the more complex Mario tunes for this era, and it evolves. Like they bring the bongos in the second half with the same beat. Like it's just incredible. And like, I think what's really interesting is the reinterpretations, like you said, Doug, are unique in that other Mario games didn't do this. They would have different songs for different stages or just simply repeat the tracks. Also, the versions of the Ghost House, Bowser's final theme, Bowser's Castle are all haunting in a way that like Mario games didn't really do. Everything was kind of kiddie friendly and warm, but like the final Bowser theme, I think, is haunting in a way that's really interesting. It adds an imposition. It shows how like monstrous Bowser is and depicted in this game. And like the Ghost House are genuinely haunting. Like they spooked me as a kid. And like fun fact, we didn't mention this, when you go into a castle or into a ghost house, Yoshi will not follow. The narrative is he's scared. The reality is they don't want you to have Yoshi. Would make those stages too easy. But like it's funny that you can't take Yoshi with you because he's too scared to go into those places, which is kind of fun as well. But yeah, I love the soundtrack. To me, it's easily the best Mario soundtrack ever made. And I think it's like Rick was saying earlier about like going from black and white to color, the sound palette too, going from 8-bit to 16-bit is like on another level. It is just incredible. And it's reason why games like Shovel Knight and Shantae in their later years, you know, more recent indie games that are 2D platformers or Metroidvanias mimic this style. They don't adhere to it strictly, but like it's a kind of chiptune music that is even pervasive today because it was just so unique in how you could make these sounds and tones. And like you were saying, Doug, it sounds like full instrumentation. It's still synthesizers, it's still MIDI, but like, again, the bongo sound that comes in the second half of Athletic sounds like a bongo. It really does, because there's a tinniness to this that really feels instrumental, in a way that the previous games still were interesting and had good music, but not quite at this level.
Yeah, and like the music in this game is great throughout, but I gotta say the still, even on the replay recently, was just, I forget how much different it is when you go into that final level into Bowser's world, and it's like rock music. And you get to see it, when you're in the warp pipe from the second world, and you get to go through one little level and you see it and you hear the music, and it's like it's so different. It's like it almost feels like the 16-bit version of a rock concert.
Yeah, I
Totally.
remember.
And Bowser's like layout has that like rock concert feel, like as the neon sign on his castle that says Bowser, like it kind of feels like you're headed to like a rock concert.
Yeah, I remember this being a thing because my parents, like most people their generation, found the kind of the harshness of the NES sound palette like really just not to their taste. Like what a lot of harsh beeps, boops, saw waves, like I said, like really, I love it because I grew up on it and I have nostalgia for that. And I think those sounds have been kind of adopted by people going forward in music. Like you'll hear those sounds in modern music now, just that rock bands play. But I was able to kind of show them when the SNES came along, like they were like, oh, this is much better. They were like, okay, they're synthesized versions of actual instruments, while still being kind of quaint. Versions of that, like Casio versions of these things. So let's talk about this game. We open it up and we get our adorable little title screen, and we're off and running to the first world, which is Yoshi's Island. And they do a good job. Like they tutorialize everything with these little speaker boxes, which you hit with some love from below. And you get a little text box that just tells you things you need to know, like, oh, try doing this, don't do that. And like they're always there. If you forget, like if you go back to that level, it's there to remind you, oh yeah, those instructions remain.
Yeah, and what's interesting, the very first level is like, you can, once you beat it, you can go left or right. And like when you're first playing this game, like especially coming from a lot of Nintendo games, usually there was just one place to go. You go to the right or whatever. And this is like, oh, I have an option, and then you go to the left and you get what's called a Switch Palace, which you never heard of before in any other Mario game. And now it's like, oh, if I don't do this, then it affects the entire rest of the game, or if I do or not.
Right. What you're talking about is when you encounter one of these early levels, you'll see a dotted yellow line in a square where a block should be. And once you've gone to the yellow Switch Palace, which is just up the hill from where you start, and you activate the big yellow button, now every one of those dotted lines everywhere else in the entire game is now filled with a yellow exclamation point block, which if you hit it will give you a super mushroom. And there are 4 of these different colored switches in the game, and they are necessary to get to the super secret world. We'll talk about a little later.
Yep. And only 2 of them give you power-ups. The yellow one gives you mushroom. The green one gives you a cape. The other 2 don't have power-ups, which I also thought was an interesting choice, right? They could have put all power-ups within all of them, but they kind of split it up. So it's just not super easy to always get power-ups from these. I love this opening world also because like there's Yoshi's house is in the center of it. If you go there, it's just an empty area with a speaker box. And when you jump, it gives you the layout of the narrative, which is also, this is the era of narratives in the instruction manual, which I think is basically the same of you were vacationing in Dinosaur World. Bowser kidnapped Princess. Yoshi wants to kidnap Yoshi. You free Yoshi from his prison. When you first get Yoshi, you get that narrative block of saying, like, Yoshi was trapped in these eggs by Bowser, and now you freed him, and he will help you rescue the princess. And that's basically it. Then you're off and running. And this opening world, like you said, Doug, really does give you the lay of the land of, like, you get a Switch Palace, you get Yoshi for the first time, you get both power-ups, the cape and 3 power-ups, the mushroom, the cape, and the fire flower within those few stages. And it really lays out the foundation for what then you will experience basically from world to world in the rest of the game.
Yeah, and one thing Yoshi lets you do here that you'll find fruit hanging around, like red fruit, pink fruit. I think there's one other color, green. You can find and eat them, and the game does not tell you what that's for. There is a really obtuse system happening where if you eat the right number of fruits in a level, you'll spawn a little cloud that will fly along and like drop these coins, like specialty coins at you. I had forgotten about this because I was starting to I was working through my replay and I was going like, yeah, what are all these fruits for? I don't remember what these are for, how they work. Like, as soon as I thought to myself, I need to go look this up, it happened. And I was like, oh yeah, this will happen like once a game for you because it's really like, I forget how it's calculated. Like if you, I don't know, it was one of those things like if you eat the fruit when the timer has the right number on it or something. But it's, like I said, this is like designed in such a way that like, it might happen for you once very rarely. It's not something you can generally go out and try to do by design. But yeah, that is a mechanic in the game that's like pretty well hidden. Have either of you encountered it before? Yeah.
No, you're like, I played this game. I've logged 1 million hours in this game. Never heard of a cloud running around. I know that if you eat enough fruits, like eventually you get a 1-up, but I didn't know about the cloud thing.
Yeah. So there are a lot of factors, actually. It's not just the different color fruits. And you're right. There's red, pink, and green. But it's also the type of Yoshi you are. Depending on the type of Yoshi you are, you will also get different rewards. But yeah, you eat a certain amount of them, and then you will get this reward, which is, I think, really interesting. Also, we mentioned it before, but if you try and get a Yoshi while you have a Yoshi, you'll get a 1-up every time. But there are like these little things that they never really tell you in this game that have to do with Yoshi that they let you kind of discover on your own, which I don't mind. I think it's kind of a fun little thing that, like, as you go through the games, you will discover these little things.
Yeah, and as you said, Rich, you've logged countless hours and you've never even seen or heard of this. Like,
nope.
I'll send you a video when we're done. I'll find one so you can see it. Like, it's just this random weird thing. The other thing that's in these levels we didn't mention is there are Yoshi coins at spots that are designed to make it entice you to try and go for them. Just like in old Mario games, 100 coins gets you a free life. 5 of these Yoshi coins will also get you a free life, and they carry over from level to level. So this will eventually evolve into the red coin stuff in 64, where it's like there are 8 special coins hidden in this level. You find all 8 of them, and you get a star or something happens.
Yeah, and there have been variants of that in all the games, like the new Super Mario Brothers games. There were 3 star coins in each level, right? Like there have been evolutions of this that like there are specialty coins besides the regular coins that when you get 100 of, you still get a 1-up.
Yep. So you fight your way through a few levels and you get to the first fortress. Each of our worlds ends with one of these fortresses that is manned by one of the Koopalings, the same Koopalings from Super Mario 3. And these fortresses, they do a good job making them feel different and interesting. Like they take a great advantage of the Super NES's parallax abilities. And they have this thing where you climb on fences as Mario, and you can climb, up, down, left, right, diagonally. And they have these squares in them where you punch them. You can, if there's a Koopa on the other side of the fence from you, you can punch them and they'll fall down, which is never not satisfying. And then you can flip to the other side of the fence via these like square apertures, and now you're on the backside of it punching at the Koopas. And like it's a simple little system, but it never ceased to feel great to take advantage of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And as we go through these castles, there'll be like, I think it's 3 different main mechanics for the Koopalings. So we get them in double in each, over the course of the worlds. But this first castle, I think it's Iggy, and he's on a ball, and it's on a seesaw landmass, and you have to jump on him to knock him off the landmass. And when you do, you win. And then there are variants. There are like arenas were locked in with 2 of the Koopalings where they run around and run onto the ceiling and try and fall on you. You have to jump on them 3 times. And then there's a version where with 2 of the Koopalings, they're in pipes and they stick their head out and you have to jump on them, but there are also decoys coming out of the pipe and you have to jump on them 3 times. And I like this diversity that it's not every single one of them is different. They pair them up. So like once you've done it once, you're like, oh, I know how to do it this time, but there's always some kind of other variant, like they're faster or they have other options, the decoys or whatever. And I also love that in the castles, every time you defeat a castle, Mario destroys the castle, and every single one of the castles is destroyed in a different way. There's some comedy scenes. There are some unexpected ways he like karate kicks one of the castles to the ground, right? Like it's really fun that they give us these little vignettes, very similar to the Mario 3 vignettes where you save the royalty and then you get to see what they looked like. They were transformed into animals. You get to see them like back to normal, and they thank you and give you like an item. This also, like, you're saving Yoshi eggs from these castles, and then they thank you while you destroy the castle. And it's always fun to see the little bit of comedy that comes out in Mario games that has existed basically since the earliest game. Like, I would consider "Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle" basically a gag by the time it happens for the 6th or 7th time. And so like this is an evolution of that, giving you little vignettes that are giving narrative, but mostly also a fun breather moment where you get to see the personality of Mario or Luigi as well.
Yeah, they're. I remember laughing a lot, like when I first, I was like, and they're still satisfying, even to watch him blow something up or kick it down.
Yeah, I think the first 2 times he blows them up with dynamite, they kind of set, it's just going to be this every time. And then they start changing the pattern where, like he tries to blow it up, it doesn't blow up. He goes to check on it, and then it blows up in his face. Is one of them. As he said, he kicks one of them down. There's a few other ways in which he disposes of these castles. And they're all, it's just cute. It's a really great way that they can use the superior power of the SNES to like add a little more drama and comedy into what's happening.
Yeah.
And so we get every time you beat a level, by the way, the path kind of like appears before you, or the world will change its shape slightly. It's always satisfying when this happens. And we go across the bridge to World 2, Donut Plains. Which, as the name suggests, it's a big kind of circular shaped world with a lake in the middle of it. And this is where like they really teach you that secret exits are a thing, because there are many, many secret exits and secret exits that lead to more secrets and more secrets here. And they start off right away.
On Yoshi's Island, they don't give you any secret levels, and they don't give you the cape. So it's like they show you, it's very much the tradition of Mario. We're walking you through bit by bit. But once you hit Donut Plains, like the very first level, you get a cape opportunity right away. And it's there. I think there's 3 or 4 different secret levels in this world right out of the bat.
Yeah, I've got the map in front of me, and like just looking at it, like almost every single level here in Donut Plains has 2 exits.
Yeah.
And so like there's a level an exit that leads you to a level in the middle of the lake that if you beat it, it'll just take you back up to the ghost house that's at the north part of the island. But if you beat the secret way, that takes you to another ghost house that if you beat that 2 different ways, one takes you to a pipe that leads you, as you said, into a little sneak preview of Bowser's area and out again. And the other one leads you to a star portal. And so what I like about this is they do a simple enough gameplay job of showing you, like, there's the map. You can see the house, and you have to sit there and go, well, there must be a way to get to it. And so that's enough to tell you, look harder. You'll find it. And you don't have to do too much. I mean, like I said, they're giving you the cape. They want you to fly. If you're a normal kid, you're going to want to fly as much as possible. And if you fly around the top of that level enough, you'll see it. You'll find your way to the exit.
Yeah, and that first one is the first one. I think that you can get there by flying or using Yoshi, but it's a lot easier once to go to the Green Switch Palace first, and then just run up a ramp, and then you get to the key really easily.
Yeah, that's true. So there's two things here that we have for the first time. Number one is you've talked about these before, Matt. The Ghost House. This is the first appearance of these, and these are fun because they are one haunted house. I'm happy. Anything Halloweenish, you've got me. But I believe there are boos in Super Mario 3, but this really ups the ante in terms of like how many of them there are. There's now lots of different species of boos. And the signature thing about these is, again, they really want you to find secret exits here because they try to make these a little more puzzly and like labyrinthine than the average level.
Yeah, boos were introduced in 3, but like in this, it's a variety of different kinds of boos that react differently. And then other ghosts too. There are ghost dinosaurs that fly overhead. Like they really ump the ante on, like this game and 3 both ump the ante on villains and enemies, right? Like, because villains is too strong of a word for cutesy Mario game, but like bad guys, baddies that you have to beat. And the Ghost House has a bunch. This is the first time you also fight a giant boo that you have to defeat as like a boss, which was new to the series, and then would go on to be, we would have a whole like storyline centered around a particular boo in the GameCube generation. And so like, I like that this game really evolved the lore of Mario in a big way, added a lot of characters and storytelling, which again wasn't huge in the Mario games. 1, 2, and 3 have bare bones stories, but like this really expanded the world and the scene setting for a lot of Mario games to come after.
And did you know there actually is a way to kill the big boo? It's like, I've seen this as well. So when you're on a hill and you press down, you don't duck, you slide down on your butt. And I believe you can slide down on your butt into a big boo and kill it. I think that's how you do it. But there is some weird way in which you can actually kill these otherwise unkillable things.
Yeah, and then I think there was like, if you have a star, if you have a superstar, you can run through most of them, and then there's certain ones that you can kill as well with a superstar.
Yeah. So there's 2 boo houses here, which is, again, the first time we encounter those, and then the Star Road. So once you get to the star, it will take you up into this star-shaped world where there are 5 levels. If you find your main way out of the level, the exit just takes you right back to where you were. You made no progress other than ticking off an exit on your list of exits to do. But if you find the secret exit, it will take you to the next star. Generally, that doesn't help you because until you go through the level and unlock it, that star will be behind a bunch of rocks or whatever. It's not helping you skip past anything. And if you unlock all of the stars and you've unlocked the things around, this is how you can go back to other parts of the map really quickly. You can take this teleport system back. But in the 5th level, there is actually a secret exit that you can't unlock generally without all 4 switch palaces because you need blue blocks to be able to really reach this. But that will take you to the super secret world. the special world is what it's called, which is just 8 of the hardest levels with amazing level titles. So the levels all have titles. They're usually just pretty bland, like, Donut Island 2 or whatever. But the levels here in the super special world are gnarly, tubular, way cool, awesome, groovy, mondo, outrageous, and funky.
Yeah.
And
tubular is one of the hardest levels in it. I would spend so many times trying to get through that particular one.
Yeah, I didn't write down too many notes about like individual levels because I didn't think we'd be spending time on them. But tubular is worth mentioning because so this introduces it doesn't introduce. You find these power-ups here and there. They're pretty rare, but it's the pea balloon, which if you get the pea balloon, Mario blows up like a balloon and floats, and you can put him in any direction. Although if you don't press anything, he will just naturally float up. And this is a horizontal obstacle course you need to float through, getting new pea balloons along the way to maintain altitude. And it is, this is probably the hardest challenge in the game.
Yep. And the pea balloon only lasts a limited time, so you can't take your time. And if you touch anything, you basically puncture like a balloon and fall. And this whole stretch of stages is basically the start of what then Nintendo would do for how they set their difficulty settings for Mario games, in the sense that like there are no difficulty settings. You can't make things easier or harder, which arguably I think for modern audiences could be a challenge to interpret or understand. But for those who play these games who want the bigger challenge, like most Mario games are pretty streamlined and simple enough, though they have their challenges, but then they will often have more challenging stages. And Wondered appears as a star rating for some of the stages, so you know how difficult they are before you jump into them. But this was kind of the beginning of like, challenge running, people want like difficult platforming, let's build in our own. And they've gone on to do that for other games as well. And the special world I've beaten once. I don't think I've ever gone back to it, just because like it stresses me out. But it is a really cool collection of like really innovative, unique, and punishingly difficult Mario stages that if you want to take them on, you can. And like there's no real reward for beating them other than saying you've beaten them. But like it was the earliest stage of this kind of like gloating, the ability to gloat beating a thing that's really tough in a Mario game.
Yeah, because you don't need to do any of the special world to beat the game at all. You don't even have to access a star if you don't want to. It's just, it's bragging rights. And if you do beat the whole thing, some of the enemies and looks of the entire game change a little bit once you beat the star world.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you manage to get all the way through Funky, which I've done every time I do it. The aesthetics change. So the color palette of the world, the map changes, not the levels, but the palette changes, and then certain enemies look different. So the Koopas, instead of being turtles, they're now like they're wearing Mario masks as shells, which is fun. The piranha plants look like pumpkins, especially the ones that are that if you hit and it makes like a little like beanstalk for you to climb. They look like pumpkins. And I think there's one other change. I'm blanking on what it is, but it's something along those lines. Oh, the Goombas look different too. I forget. But yeah, so just very slight visual changes for going through all of it. But again, mostly bragging rights that you found the secret within the secret, and then you did all the hard shit. So we go to the end of Donut Plains, and we beat the boss, which I believe this is the one where he, as you said, Matt, he runs around the perimeter of this square, and you're trying to jump on him when he's at ground level, and not let him fall on you from the ceiling. So then we go into Vanilla Dome. which is like you're on the inside of this hollowed out mountain. And like, I believe, is this here? I'm trying to remember. Oh no, not here yet. We don't get to those yet. This is more like a lot of cave dwelling, like these cave biomes that we'll spend a lot of time in later in the game. But they're not functionally different. They're just aesthetically different.
Yeah, underground levels. The enemies are different. So bats and Monty Mole. This is where Monty Mole Monty Mole was in
3.
certain parts of 3.
They're on
but
airships.
This is where like Monty Mole. Yeah. But Monty Mole became a regular enemy popping out of walls. There are giant Monty Moles in this later in the underground areas. And so like, yeah, the mechanics basically stay the same, but instead of spikes, there's lava pits. There are different enemies that function similarly. And ultimately, I think they're more challenging because they are tighter spaces. They're often ground pieces that rise or fall that can crush you, right? Like they get pretty innovative with how they differentiate these stages, even though functionally the way you get through them is basically the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's 2 ways out of here, which is interesting. They give you two. You can take one path or the other, as long as you find your way to them. If you go up to the right and take a secret exit, you'll find the Red Switch Palace here, which unlocks blocks back in the first level that lets you go off to the left side, left path, which takes you up to a warp pipe and to the outside of what is called Butter Bridge. That's the 4th level. And it's actually 2 bridges. There's a high one and a low one. So the secret way lets you take the low one, and it's just 2 different levels that take you up to what's ultimately the 4th fortress. But if you don't do that and you take the main path, then you go through the 3rd fortress, and this is where you have that fight with the Koopa. That's it's the 3-card Monty, basically, of pipes, and 2 decoys will pop out of pipes and 1 actual Koopaling, and you just got to get to the Koopaling, bop on their head, and do that 3 times, and they go down into the lava below.
Yeah, and the decoys are great because they are basically like scarecrows. Like they have like broom arms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the details on the decoys are fun. Like it's like, again, childlike. It's like the Koopa kids designed them. Like, oh, I'll just stick some sticks in this sandbag with some fur and they'll think it's me. It's just very funny.
Yeah. And this is the one when you beat, this is Iggy, I'm sorry, Ludwig. When you beat Ludwig Koopa, you blow the thing up, and you see in the little cutscene that it flies up into the air and then hits this little hill, mountain-looking thing, and leaves a bandage on it. And that's a really fun little cutaway.
And then
in the overworld, you see the bandage on that hill for the rest of the game, which I think is a fun, nice touch.
Yeah, and again, so that's at the end of Butter Bridge. That's 4. So if you go through Fortress 3, again, you take the top path, the top Butter Bridge. If you go through the secret exit through the pipe, you take the bottom path to Butter Bridge. But both paths lead back to that 4th fortress where you do damage to the hill there. But if you take the lower path, if you find a particularly tricky secret exit by flying underneath the goalpost at the end of the world, I think is where you have to do one of these. So when you get to the end of a world, there's a goalpost that goes up and down and up and down, and depending on where you hit it, you get stars. If you get for every 100 stars, you get a bonus little level to get more lives.
It's the equivalent of the flag in the first Mario.
Right, but you can't fly. You cannot fly over these usually, unless it's a glitch. If you fly over it, that's just considered like you hit the top of it, and the level ends. But in a handful of cases, and this is one of them, if you're real good at flying and you can dive down and then pull back on the stick and go back up, you can dive underneath the goalpost without triggering it to get to the secret exit that is beyond it. And they signal that by showing a platform with some coins on it that's down there, so that like that is a place I can get to. I could do this if I tried, because otherwise you would never think to try this.
Sure.
And that unlocks yet another node on the star map if you do that. So we beat number 4, and we go to World 5, which is the Forest of Illusion. highlight of the game, I think. Really great.
Oh,
level.
yeah. Fan favorite, definitely. I mean, I think everything is a secret level, and I mean, almost every level in this whole thing is secret. And it starts out with you can barely see any of the world, and as you said, the forest opens up, and you beat one level one way, and you just go back to where you come, and you're like, what the hell just happened? And I love this level.
Yeah, I like that it's basically a loop unless you get the secret exits. The secret exits will eventually get you out to out of this world and into the castle, or to the castle in this world. I can't remember where. I think it's like located right outside the forest.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way to get to those important stages like the ghost house or the castle is to find the secret exits. You are required in this. Whereas in other areas like Donut Plains, the second world, everything has a secret exit, but none of them are required, I think,
right.
basically.
Yep.
In this, all of them have secret exits, and they are all required, which is a fun way to show the Forest of Illusion, again, without a lot of narrative storytelling, just kind of using what you've learned to go, okay, those red stages are ones that have secret exits, and I'm going in circles. I guess I need to find those secrets.
Yeah, and the music here, I note, is like this Forest of Illusion music. I think Koji Kondo kind of used a version of this for the Forest of Illusion that's in Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Like, there's definitely like something he liked here. The other thing that's in here, we didn't mention this the first time we ran into one, because there's one in Butterbridge, are these fortresses that are not our main fortresses. This is kind of like in Mario 3, we had these as well, these like mini dungeons, and at the end there was a mini boss, which are 4 triceratops on a little Ferris wheel that you have to hit from below, and their name is Reznor, and believe it or not, that is the reason Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails uses that as his stage name, which is so bizarre.
I did not know that.
See, and it's funny, as a Nine Inch Nails super fan, Trent Reznor is actually a huge gamer, loves video games. Famously, the reason no new album came out the year that Metroid Prime came out is because he was obsessed with playing that game. And so like all his work got kind of shunted to the side because all he did was want to play this Metroid game. But yeah, apparently well-known video game nerd, like a lot of his synth work, like a lot of his early inspiration is from MIDI sounds, and like was obsessed with MIDI keyboards and that soundscape. And so, and like you can hear it in the music for sure. Some of the more airy and varied tracks that he's made. But yeah, he's a huge video game fan. So like, so funny that he took his name from this creature from this dinosaur from Super Mario World is pretty funny.
It's crazy. Like, can you imagine what other stage names he could have had if this hadn't come along?
Right, like Trent Koopa.
I was gonna say Trent Robotnik is here to play. Just all kinds of weird shit. So we make our way through the Forest of Illusion, and we get down to World 6, which is called Chocolate Island. And this is very much that like this like candy coating idea that kind of follows Mario around after this, right? Like this big and like in Mario Kart, like everything is like we've had donut plains already, and now we have Chocolate Island, and like you look at the candy race car game that's part of Wreck-It Ralph, like that they're very much going into this idea of like, oh yeah, Mario also lives in a candy world.
We had Vanilla Dome, was that
right.
World 3 and
yeah. And so Chocolate Island here, these are a little more tough platforming challenges, less secret based really, but there is, if you go through this one really weird secret, it'll take you to a warp pipe that'll allow you to go to skip most of the island, because it'll drop you off right by the fortress. So you you could skip through most of this if for some reason you wanted less Mario to have fun with.
Yeah, right.
The enemies here are different too. Like they start, I think this is where you start getting a lot of those rhinoceroses that shoot fire.
Breathe fire. Yeah. Just to go back real quick, in Forest of Illusion, you get an enemy that you didn't get before, which is like this crawly looking
the caterpillars,
like millipede kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's that?
The caterpillars.
The caterpillars, yeah. And the thing about those is, unlike every other enemy, if you jump on them, you don't kill them. You just make them mad.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, they turn red.
The
and
Wiggler is the canonical name of those characters. We actually also didn't talk about a pretty seminal Mario character that's now repeated in many places that you see for the first time, I think, in the first world, which is Charge and Chuck, the football playing Koopa Troopa.
Oh, these guys suck.
Yeah.
And they suck, and they are funny and like funny looking. And like Charge and Chuck implies a lot of things about Koopa and the dinosaur. Like, they have American football, specifically American football, like, which is only really big here. It's not like these could have been soccer playing with soccer, but they weren't. They're like, it's just such a funny kind of stereotype and goof. But yeah, Charge and Chuck, which now famously has been in many different games, is in the new Mario Kart as an enemy that attacks you on some of the courses. Like, yeah, it's just kind of a fun character that debuted here.
Sometimes he throws a football. Sometimes he throws baseballs. Why not?
Yeah,
he's a jock.
Sure.
And like all jocks, he's gonna bully you, and they suck because they're hard to kill. Like, if you just jump on them, you kind of bounce off of them, and instead of damaging them. And not only do you bounce off of them, you're in a way that's like hard to control. Like, you just sort of like fly off of them in an awkward direction. You can whack them with your cape, but you got to get up close to do it. You can hit them with fireballs, but it takes more than one. It takes several fireballs. Yoshi can't eat them. Like, they are a real problem, and they try to put them in spots where their particular pattern of either throwing baseballs in a straight line or kicking footballs that bounce around, again, in kind of an unwieldy, unpredictable pattern. Yeah. These things are a real problem wherever they show up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I was just saying, but back to Chocolate Island. I don't think there's any other than the rhinos. I can't remember any other new enemies in that one.
There is an interesting world with a gimmick here. I forget which one it is, but you go into this world, and what happens is based on the timer. So it tells you, like, there's a speaker box that says, like, I forget how they phrase it, but depending on what you do here or how long you spend or something. So what it means is if you get to the end of the first like room that you're in fast enough, you will get to a room that has a secret exit. But if you don't, depending on how long has elapsed on the clock when you get to the end of that little segment, dictates which next segment comes up. So there's a little bit of like not randomness to this as to like how you make your way through this world, which is cool. Like, they're still, like, as we said with Mario 3, like, they're at their best when they're coming up with like, what's the gimmick for this? Like, it's going to be different than what you've done before. It won't just be an obstacle course left to right. We're going to try and come up with a little something to make this unique and memorable.
Yeah.
So we go through world fortress number 6, which again I think is the repeat of the pipes and the decoys.
Yep. This is windy.
It's windy. And before we go to the last world, we go to a ghost ship, which this is such a great little flourish that it's one of the it's like a ship from Mario 3, the airships, but it's underwater and like crash and full of booze. Like, great bit of little like theatricality on your way to the final levels.
Oh yeah. Sunken ghost ship. It's great.
All right, so we go through the Sunken Ghost ship, and now we're in Bowser's world, the Valley of Bowser, where, as you said, we get this rockin' soundtrack. And they have one more flourish, which is that if you go through the secret exit in the first level, it will take you on a separate path that leads to the back door to Bowser's palace. Like, they've never really done anything like this since this, but it's like such a great idea of like, yeah, you can even shortcut the final level if you're, being nosy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This also starts Bowser's obsession with creating things in his image. The cave that leads to this world is shaped like Bowser's head. Like, there's just, like, in every game since, like, I think in Wonder, he gets turned into a ship that has his face, but it famously before that had ships with his face on it. I just love the narcissism of Bowser, and we really see it on full display starting in this game, which I think is fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember some of the more memorable levels within the Valley of Bowser. Like, they're hard, but they're not like nearly as hard as like the special world stuff.
No, yeah. And there's two ways to get into, you can go to the back door or you can go to the front door. And that's, nowadays with Google, you can easily go, okay, what's the best way to get to Bowser through the back door or whatever. But as a kid, I mean, you just had to try stuff.
Yeah.
Well, when you finally go to Bowser's castle here, you're in a long hallway with 8 doors, each just labeled 1 through 8. And it's like, there's one right answer. And so if you guess wrong, you just go through more level and eat more time off the clock. and then you just keep trying. And if you just go 1, 2, 3, I think it's definitely like, it's not 8. Like they don't want you to go all the way to the last one. It's like 6 or 7. So they want you to try this a bunch of times and mess up before you get to the final level there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this starts also the size disproportion of Bowser. Like Bowser has been a varied size compared to Mario in a bunch of the games. In 3, he's like maybe 2 Marios tall, but like in this, he's in his little floating clown car and is easily 3 or 4 times Mario's size. In Mario 64 also he's like 3 or 4 times Mario's size. Like it's just there's this comical inconsistency, and then when they race in go-karts they're basically the same size. So like, you know, it's just very funny to me. But I love this final boss, like the like deep like metal synths that play as he rises, and the lightning crack, and like every so often Peach will pop out of the clown car and give you a mushroom between like phases. It's just, and like you can't jump on him in this. He has these little, this is the debut also of the little like mechanical Bowsers that have been in other games as well, and you throw them up on an arc when he's swinging near you to hit him in the head with it, and it stuns him. And like it's just such a unique battle. Like, you know, all the Bowser boss fights I think have been pretty unique across the games. In 3 he has to smash the bricks and you have to just avoid him basically and let him kill himself.
Yeah.
Whereas in this it's so back and forth and it can be really challenging. But I love the kind of drama of this final stage with the lightning in the background, the music, all of it. Like it's just such a cool set piece that I think defines what we get for Bowser fights going forward, right? It is these big set pieces in the end of the game.
Yeah, and they've used this before the game. This game isn't the most flashy with this, but they do take advantage of what was called Mode 7, which was this chip that the SNES had, that it was able to take a 2D image and stretch it, make it bigger, make it smaller, stretch its shape in any direction, basically. And so Bowser will, fly off into the distance and come back with this. They used it for the Reznor fights where the little Ferris wheel they're on rotates. And again, sounds quaint, but like at the time that was like, wow, this is a big flashy thing they could do graphically, that the Genesis could not do, so this was one of those, like during the console wars, which Matt, as you know from our Billy Joel podcast, came after the Rock and Roller Cola Wars. But a big business, legit, like huge corporate battle between Nintendo and Sega. Like this was one of the talking points that in Nintendo's favor, it had this.
Yeah.
And it is cool here. Like it makes the battle dramatic as like the clown car thing that he's in. It's not even I should say clown car implies like a car with a lot of clowns in it. This is a clown face that floats around. That he's in the top
with one tiny little propeller.
Yeah. So you knock him out after knocking into him with a bunch of his little wind-up toys, and you save the princess, and you march back to Yoshi's house for a party. And we get the credit roll, which is all of the different... It's like the cast can't come out and take a bow, but they show you all of the different enemies, and they give you their canonical names and stuff, and it's really cute. Just like they kind of did this in Super Mario 3, but this is a little more involved.
Yeah, they did it in Mario 2 also, I believe, as well, like after the dream reveal.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this was a thing in Mario 2 or 3. I know it wasn't in 1, but like after you're done beating the game, it just basically says, okay, here's the world. It's totally free. You can do whatever. You can just go backwards and play, and you can beat Bowser again if you want to. Like the only thing you really can't do is play any of the Koopa bosses or any of the fortresses, but anything else you can replay.
Well, and so fun fact, you can go back into those. I think if you hold L and R and press A, it lets you go back into those stages. But yeah, so the big difference here is this is the first game that has save files. Before this, none of the Mario games had save files. None of the console, because the handhelds did. Super Mario Land 2, I think, is the first to have save files. But because you had save files, they could save post beating the game and you could go back. But in Mario 1, 2, and 3, the end is the end. You would start over since there's no stopping or saving.
Yeah, and there's a couple other kindnesses they introduce here. One is checkpoints, like mid-level, like there's like a little mini, goalpost that once you hit, if you die, you'll start from there. And the other thing they did is once you beat a level, if you replay it, at any point, if you hit pause and tap select, you can just go back to the world map.
Leave.
So yeah, if you're like, I'm falling to my death, pause, out. You can save a life that way.
That was really helpful when there were more than one exit, because if you'd beat it traditionally, then you kind of had a free play of like, oh, if I screw up, I don't have to die. I can just hit start select. Or if you were too far away from the super secret area and you wanted like a feather or something, you just go to a level where you'd get a question box right at the beginning, hit the feather, grab it, and then star select. And then that was your way of just getting a power up.
Yeah, exactly. It was a huge ease of use thing that like made, or if you screwed yourself out of getting to the secret exit, like, oh, I had to have Yoshi to be able to get it and I don't. Okay, well, I'll just go back and get Yoshi and come back here, and redo it. Instead of having to go all the way to the end to get out of it, because otherwise you would die and start at the beginning over and over until you finished it. So I think brilliant idea to just make things like, yeah, you already beat it. You proved you could do it. So you can hop out at any time. Yeah. So yeah, but that is it. That is Super Mario World. We've gone through and beaten it. Not too much longer. Like a little less time than it might take to do the entire game through this podcast. Because again, this is breezy. Like for as brilliant as this is, one of the things that's nice about it is that it's not monumentally challenging. You can do this in an afternoon, even with 96 exits to do. And it always feels good. So. Guys, I'll throw it out to you. Why do you think it is that Super Mario World remains this gold standard and people still love it 35 years later?
The colors, the music, the gameplay. We talked about how tight it was. That it's challenging but not too challenging. That it's fun. That it's forgiving. That the flight is, you could just go and fly around levels and have a fun time. Like there's so many ways to enjoy this game, and it's got a real sense of humor. We talk about the cutscenes. We didn't even talk about how all the Koopas, or most of them, are named after punk musicians and stuff like that. Like, I mean, there's just a lot of... This game feels like, oh, if we just had a budget and a lot of, just a bunch of friends, what kind of fun crap would we throw in here? And it still gives me that sense of joy that it did when I was, 10 or 11, whenever it was that I first started playing it.
Yeah, there's a magic to Mario games, and Doug, you and I talked about this quite a bit in the Mario 64 episode also, right? And I think I'm nostalgic for Mario 64, and it's one of my favorite Mario games because of what it means to me and when I got it and how impactful it was. But it has not aged great. It still plays really well, but you need some patience to figure out it only has single analog, whatever. Can't say the same for Super Mario World. One of my favorite Mario games, and it plays as good as the day you got it, right? Like, there is no caveats to this game. Like, you have to do with some retro titles, right? Like, I know that there are people who've gone back to play games that don't have nostalgia for a lot of retro games and go, oh, these aren't good, which good is relative, right? Like, again, it's everybody loves a video game for whatever reason they love it. But I can say without a shadow of a doubt that for most players, still not all, we're not a monolith, but for most players, if you like platformers, if you like challenging platformers, if you like great aesthetics and great music, this game holds up as the day it came out, and again, all the things Rick said, it's gorgeous. It sounds great. Again, this is probably my most listened to Mario soundtrack, because I think part of what you were talking about early on, Doug, like the fact that Koji Kondo just took a song, the overworld theme, and then did different genre twists on it throughout the whole game. Just you get to see the evolution of what the sound can be, and then throwing in stuff like athletic theme and the different, like the ghost house and the dungeons and all of that really kind of just step up the soundtrack. And Mario soundtracks only get better from here, right? Thinking about Mario 64 or the new Super Mario Brothers game, or even Super Mario Wonder, which is an incredible soundtrack too, despite my struggles with that game for other reasons. Like, I think that this Mario 1 through 3, especially 2, since it's technically not a Mario game, which everyone knows, were like the test to get us to Mario World. They were great games, They had ups and downs. They're not perfect games for sure. But this to me is a perfect Mario game and why it holds up and persists today, because it's the pinnacle of this franchise. Other games are great. The 3D games, like, they have a variety of ups and downs and have some great stuff. But as far as 2D Mario goes, this is the blueprint that all Mario games are built upon, right? And you can absolutely point back to it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a blueprint that pretty much almost every platformer afterwards is compared to, even stuff on the SNES and going forward, like Donkey Kong Country, which I have some affection for, but like, it is definitely, in the shadow of this. Like, it's trying to do this in its own way. Sonic was able to do its own thing because it was about speed and like not so much, exploring a level, because you can't explore at that speed. It's just, wherever physics takes Sonic is where you end up in those levels. But still, like, there was something about this that was like, I still don't think it's ever really been done better. Even the best Mario games are still like chasing this as because of how tight it is. And also, like, I don't want to say it's unambitious, but like, they could have made this so much harder than it is. They could have made the levels twice as long. They could have made the secrets much harder to do, or not only harder to find, but like, again, the like margin of error for pulling off the thing you need to get to the secret area. They could have, I mean, you've seen what people make on their own. Like, you could have made this exceptionally hard, but by that kind of restraint and going, this is for everybody. It feels so incredibly welcoming and so expertly done. Because like, I had a great time 100%ing this, last week. I had as much fun doing that, here at 45 years old as I did when I was 10, when I did it the first time. Like, there's something magical about this version of Mario that, like, I still think it's never been done better. This to me is one of the best video games of all time. And the only reason maybe I wouldn't call it the very best is simply because it doesn't do anything narratively. The other games would come along and do much, much better. But if you want like your video games to be like whimsical and kinetic and, with just a little bit of interest for exploration, like, you can't do better than this. This is, like, hats off to everybody involved in this project, for how well this has stood the test of time.
Yeah. I also feel like I need to say it out loud, mostly to cause discomfort to the three of us. But this game came out 34 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is astonishing to me.
Yeah.
That it came out so long ago, and yet it still holds up. Where other games that come out since don't hold up in the same way, right? It's just kind of mind-blowing.
Well, and this game had an extra year to work on it. I don't know if you guys seen any of the like prototypes for what they were originally going to release. It was kind of like Super Mario 3 Plus, and it didn't look bad, but like, because they delayed the Famicom another year, they had another year to cook on this. And I mean, I think that's part of the reason why they were like, no, we're going to get this perfect. And they did. They got it perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad we spent the time to talk about Super Mario World, because now we've done these three in a row. We've got 3, World, and 64 all in the bank. So I'm glad we've got those, and I'm sure there are other Mario titles that we'll talk about eventually. I think the original one is still worth talking about.
Sure.
So we can revisit these at any time. But guys, thanks again for doing this. This was an absolute treat, both to talk about and just to replay. So thank you for the excuse. Rich, if people want to find your stuff, where do they find it?
If you want to take an improv class online from anywhere in the world, go to my my online improv school. It's richbakercoaching.com. First drop-in's free. It's accessible to anyone, even if improv sounds like it's scary. It's not. It's a lot of fun. Try it.
And Rich, you even got recently you got inked with your improv-related tattoo, which I thought was awesome.
Yep. I got your back written on my forearm. It's my first tattoo, because that's what improvisers say to each other.
Yep. Right before we go on stage, everyone says, got your back to everybody else. And
True.
Yep. Great choice for some ink. Matt, if people want to find your cool stuff, where do they go?
So the best place to find everything that I do is djstormageddon.com. You can go there to find both my podcasts, the Patreon for fun and games, my merch store, my Twitch page. All of the stuff that I do is there. And then if you want to interact with me online, the best place is BlueSky. Fuck Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk. Sorry, that just slipped out. On BlueSky, you can find me at djstormageddon.com as well as my username over there. And then I'm on Instagram occasionally at DJ_Stormageddon.
And of course, if you want to find us, the links to our social media portals are all in the show notes. But just type the word nostalgium into Google. You'll find what you need because nothing's spelled that way. And if you have time and are so inclined, do spend the time to drop us a review and any podcast you like a review, because not only does it fill podcasters' hearts with joy and light, but dropping a review also actually helps people find the show by it boosts the algorithm, helps people find things. Also, we love word of mouth. Just tell a friend that you enjoyed the show. And not if you like this show, we also now have a second show going. That show is called Playing by Ear. Right now we're doing it monthly. We're trying to see if maybe we can do it more often than once a month, but editing takes time. So, but that show is a musical show. Where each episode of the show, I do it with my wife and my brother-in-law, Amy and Kyle. One of us picks an album or a guest picks an album, and we dissect it track by track. So as you're listening to this, assuming the schedule all works out, next up is an indie album my wife picked called Sha Sha by Ben Queller. Before that was Muse's Black Holes and Revelations. So yeah, good stuff happening on that show. So go check that out because we've expanded. We're in an expansionist mode. We're taking over the internet. So yeah. And yeah, so that'll do it for this. Thanks again, guys. This was an absolute blast, start to finish.
Thanks so much, Doug.
Thanks for having me. I'm on a Super Nintendo run here. I've covered 3 Super Nintendo games on your pod. I guess I'll just have to change up my strategy.
We'll have to get you on for a movie or something else next time. So
yeah, for sure.
Yep. All right. So until next time, that is one more entry in the Nostalgium Arcanum.
Yoshi and Mario, 2 best friends forever. He tells me where to go, Yoshi and Mario. Apples colored red, they're my favorite flavor. You don't have to punch my head, please stop punching my head. I can jump so far, this pit looks real big. Wait, where are you going? He just jumped off. Yoshi left behind, discarded at the goal. Turns out that Mario is an asshole.